Some people don't run from pain. On the contrary, they settle into it. They don't carry it as a wound, but as a home. At some point, the emptiness inside gets a name, me. And healing starts to feel like losing that me, because the pain is no longer just a memory. It has become an identity. That's why some people are afraid to heal. This story isn't about the ones who hurt you, it's about what was left behind inside you. As Gabor Maté says, trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside you. And what's left inside silently defines who you think you are. Maybe it was abandonment, rejection, neglect. The moment has passed, but its echo remains. I'm not worthy. I'm unlovable. I'm not enough. And with time, these sentences become your inner voice. They stop being thoughts and become a character, a shadow that speaks to you from within. Carl Jung described the shadow as the part of ourselves we repress, the version of us we silence, ignore, and forget. But this shadow doesn't whisper from the outside. It speaks from deep inside, and it says, if you heal, who will you be? If the pain is gone, what will define you? That's the deepest trick of trauma. It convinces you that healing is dangerous. Because for some, suffering has become a way of life. Being a victim feels like control. Staying broken feels like identity. And healing? Healing means letting that identity go. The sentences that begin with, I'm like this because, often hide a defense. Because my mom was cold. Because my dad didn't care. Because no one ever saw me. And yes, those stories are real. But over time, those stories become shields. Excuses to not step forward. Excuses not to become someone new. That's when pain becomes an addiction. Even when you don't want it, you can't let it go, because you no longer know who you are without it. Healing isn't just stepping out of the darkness, it's learning who you are in the light. And that can be terrifying, because many people knew you in your pain. But no one, not even you, knows who you'll be without it. When you're wounded, you start seeing life a certain way. I'm powerless. People are dangerous. Life is hard. This lens protects you, but it also locks you in. So sometimes you don't want to heal, because if you open the door, you might get hurt again. According to Gabor Maté, healing from trauma brings an existential crisis, because suddenly, you're not just someone who's healed. You're someone who has to define themselves anew. Who am I? What do I want? What do I feel? These questions were buried deep beneath the pain. Healing brings them to the surface. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. If you don't face the pain, you will relive it again and again, through different faces, different stories, but always the same wound. Because unhealed trauma wants to repeat itself, until you acknowledge it. But acknowledging doesn't mean clinging. It doesn't mean glorifying the pain. It simply means saying, yes, this happened to me, but I am not only this. That's the first step to healing. Redefining yourself. Finding a self beyond the pain. And that self lives in a quieter, deeper place. Less reactive, less defensive, less desperate for approval. Because a healed person is not someone without pain. It's someone who is no longer a prisoner to it. If you find yourself stuck in the same loops, if every new beginning feels like the same old end, if a voice inside still says, I don't want to heal, that voice may not be truly yours. It may be pain speaking, and your task is not to obey it, but to gently let it go. Ask yourself, who am I beyond my wounds? What do I want beyond my past? Who could I become if I no longer needed the pain? Maybe the answers won't come right away. But these questions, they're the doorway. And even asking them brings you closer to healing. Because a life beyond pain is possible, but it takes courage, and we're here to remind you of that courage. The Mirror Mind Project exists to offer reflection on your path to self-discovery, because you are not what happened to you. You are the story you choose to rewrite. If this video stirred something inside you, if it awakened a quiet feeling you'd long silenced, know that you're not alone. We all carry unsaid words and unseen parts within us, and here, together, we begin to uncover them. This wasn't an ending. It was a remembering, a small but brave step from shadow to light. If this journey touched you, don't forget to subscribe to the Mirror Mind Project. Hitting the like button helps these stories reach more hearts. And if you share your thoughts in the comments, what once felt like a lonely path becomes a shared experience. Remember, the answers were never out there. They've always been within. Be kind to yourself. Stay true to yourself. And until next time, we'll meet again here on the Mirror Mind Project.